What's up, everybody? Brett here, and I am super excited today. I've been waiting for this day for quite some time. It is the launch for the trailer for the Warden and the Paunch. Guys, it's kind of a special type of hell to want to check Reddit every day to see if there's any news being teased about a DLC or... But finally it's here. Yesterday they dropped a trailer for a trailer. I didn't think that was quite enough to make a video about, but today we have pretty much everything we want to know laid out before us. And you know, I don't have early access to stuff, unfortunately, so I'm kind of left with just hanging out with you guys, going through what's on the Steam page and what other information there may be. We're gonna sit today, we're gonna watch the trailer in just a second. I'm gonna shut my mouth. We're gonna watch it, and then we're gonna read through the Steam page, and then I'm gonna go through the pictures and we're gonna see what we can see and dissect what information we can get. I kind of waited a little bit to upload this because they were doing a stream after the reveal, and I wanted to see if there was any extra information that I could get that I could then pass on to you guys. So, quick cursory information. Of course, the game is Total Warhammer 2. For those of you who aren't familiar, you're really missing out. The release date is going to be May 21st, and it's super cheap. Let's look at it first. It's $8. 10% discount, can't go wrong. $8 for what I'm sure is going to be an amazing DLC. From what I've seen, I'm already hyped. They've got everything I need. That's for sure. They added stuff I didn't even think about. The rogue idols, for instance, I had no idea they were going to be in the game. There's so much. There's so much I didn't think would be added. I was for sure thinking that we were going to get colossal squigs. That doesn't seem to be the case. I thought we were going to get a lot of squig variants, and I also thought we were going to get different types of like black orcs and things like that. But there's a lot of new mechanics, and we're going to talk about those as we scroll down, and maybe some other stuff as well. Okay, let's get into the trailer. Let's just watch it together. And because I'm actually, you know what, I'm going to talk a little bit. I normally don't talk over trailers, especially for the first time that I play them. But I'm sure by now you've probably seen the trailer already. And what I'm going to endeavor to do is just, maybe I'll pause, probably won't, and we'll mention any of the unique stuff that I see, and that way you'll have a visual in your mind for when we go down and start talking about it down below. You'll know what I'm talking about. Because I know not everyone like hangs on every bit of lore.
Where is he? It has been many years, but this city will never be safe. Not whilst he is still out there. We'll show them pointy ears! We'll show them all! His immensity, his enormously, as we can! Just warm it up! A storm comes to Eltharion. It is my duty, our duty, to endure. It's time we give the pointy heads a proper fight! Yvresse will never fall.
They gave him the most jacked face I've ever seen. He's got muscles on his face. Alright. Guys, there was so much hidden in there. I know I said I was going to read everything first and then we could go over it. You know what, let's lower the volume. That way we can kind of skin through. So what we see here is his kind of like Batcave tower. His city, we're gonna go over that in just a bit. I kind of can't remember the name of it now, but it's a unique thing that you have to upgrade as part of your campaign mechanics. We see all the Snarlings, all the pump wagons. That is unique right there. You see how they have mushrooms on the front? That is a unique pump wagon that it has some special effects. I think they said it explodes. We've got the ones that have the wings on them. They skip up and down. I don't know how that's going to differentiate them from the regular ones. What else do we have? I noticed something here. This is like my 4th or 5th time watching it that I had never seen before. Let's see. It was so brief, it might not even be worth going through. Of course, we see the lion chariots. Amazing. And I know that there are also just packs of lines that you can get, very similar to like war dogs. And some of these special high elf units, I'm not that familiar with them. They go over them down below. But I've never seen them in their tabletop models. We see Grom here. Now, there was an orc that I noticed that I was hoping to point out. We get a look at his banner here. Pretty cool looking. And what I was trying to keep an eye out was for anything in the background, any little tidbit of information that might be not given to us explicitly in the notes down below. And I thought for a second I saw something. It was just hang in there for a second. They only showed him for like a split second. And I think it was right around this area. So we see Eltharion with these special spear boys. We get the rock idols. Those dudes are awesome. And I think the one that's in the middle is bigger. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there's a Regiment of Renown version of them, and I think that's probably it. I think we've got 2 regular ones, and then the Regiment of Renown one is in the middle. He's supposedly the biggest one. God, they showed him for just a second. There's Savage Orcs. Okay. Hopefully it wasn't just nothing. I'm not just wasting everyone's time. We're still going over stuff, which is still cool. But the Savage Orcs, okay. It's kind of interesting that they would put them on here. Mostly probably for diversity's sake. I think it might have been right here. Ah. It's going to be like too small of a frame or too... Potentially. Man, I thought for a second it looked like perhaps... Is it right here? I think this is it. This looks new to me. Obviously, guys, I'm ignoring the giant troll behind us, the new types of trolls. This looks like a new type of war boss to me. People have been asking for either Savage or Black Orc war bosses. But you see what I'm talking about? See how easy it is to miss this guy? I don't know. It's the little things that get me excited. I like finding the stuff that other people missed. And that looks like something to me. I could totally be wrong, but I don't think so. He's got, it looks like maybe a Black Orc war boss. You see how he's got extra weapons and stuff strapped to him? In the lore, the Black Orcs are cool because they always go into battle with like extra gear. Whatever gear they need, they like have it on them. They're armed to the teeth, I think is how they reference it. Who are those dudes? Let's play it for a second and see if we can't freeze on them. Yeah, I mean, you saw it there. Are these just Phoenix Guard? Okay. It looked for a second like these dudes might have swords, which would have been insane. Now, these guys are new as well. I know there are Rangers. There's some special Spear Guards. Here's the Arcane Phoenix, probably the highest tier Phoenix. They describe it a bit. And this is the Archmage, who I think is probably going to be on a dragon mount at some point. Also pretty exciting. She's the Lord option for a caster for the High Elves, which previously they didn't have. Only Techless apparently could lead an army and cast magic at the same time. And something else they don't really talk about here. Oh, there we go. That's... Alright, I missed these guys last time too, because I was so focused on the chariots. They actually do show you the White Lions, and they have a Regiment of Renown type unit as well, which I'm expecting to be insane. Eltharion here on his unique Griffin mount. We've got Grom on his chariot, pulled by 3 wolves. You'd almost feel like you'd need more wolves than that. And they look awesome. Alright. That's enough of that. We can look at the pictures too. I feel like this is what you guys might want to see. A bit more of a breakdown as we enhance CSI style into some of these photos and try and learn what we can learn. So if you look, these two rock idols look different. I think the glowing one might be the standard one, and the giant guy here, who's even bigger than the Ragnarok Queen, is the Regiment of Renown, if I had to guess. What else can we notice from this? I know it might be very small on your screen, but unfortunately this isn't CSI, and I can't just zoom in indefinitely. What else do we have? I see the trolls over here. Yeah, not the best picture for getting new information. We can see the pump wagons on either side, the different types. We can see all three, actually. The ones with the wings, the ones with the mushrooms, and then the standard variant. They might do magic poison damage. There might be armor-piercing elements to this. The one with the wings might be much faster. Maybe better for flanking. We'll see how they do that. And we get a really great look at Grom's model here. His banner, his little Night Goblin buddy, and his chariot overall. He looks great. Here we go. We get a good look at the Arcane Phoenix. I'm kind of looking in the background, though. I want to see secret stuff. I see the lions here. This looks like this is probably the Archmage here, based on the headdress. And then we also can see the chariots. And then I know there's some more Regiments of Renown being added for the High Elves as well. There's an archer unit. Perhaps this is them. And there are rangers being added also. Excuse me there. So now we get to look at Eltharion, but see these guys in the back? These look like great eagles, not necessarily griffins. It's so hard to tell, but I know he has a unique unit as well of dudes that ride griffins. And they're campaign only. You're not going to be able to use them in regular multiplayer matches. I wish they would just take all those special units that they've added in all the different campaigns that are campaign exclusive and just tweak them just a little bit. Just a little bit. Make them a little bit more fair and make them available for multiplayer. I don't think any of them are really broken. That's what the whole gold mechanic is for. It balances them out. I just like to have access to everything I can whenever I play. And yeah, I want to play with every unit on every campaign, really. Although I understand that sometimes keeping an incentive for a certain lord is a good idea. But yeah, that's what we can see here. And I think that's what these guys are. They're like almost like a bodyguard unit for Eltharion. And then lastly, we have the trolls. And then this is a hero unit, a hero caster unit. I didn't see these trolls coming. I'm going to be real with you. And she's swinging around what looks like a bag full of meat. I'm not sure what lore she's going to use. Also, I think these high elves here might be a special unit as well. I don't think these are just your standard spearmen. If they are, they have an amazing color scheme. But that's going to be it, guys. Now, on to the reading. And just sit back and relax. I'm going to read this stuff so you don't have to. And I'm going to try and do a good job before my voice goes out. Because every time there's new DLC, man, my voice wants to, crack. I got to sneeze all of a sudden. I've got allergies. Otherwise, I'm good. It's only when I sit down to read that all those problems happen. So about this content, the Warden and the Paunch is the latest Lords pack for Total War Warhammer 2, introducing 2 rival legendary lords from the world of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, each with their own factions, objectives, mechanics, units, and playstyle, for use in both the Eye of the Vortex and Mortal Empires campaigns and custom multiplayer battles. Eltharion the Grim commands... They said it in the trailer for the first time I've ever heard anyone pronounce this. Is it Yvresse? I think is how you pronounce that. Yvresse. While Grom the Paunch leads the Broken Axe tribe. Neither Yvresse nor the Broken Axe tribe are involved in the Vortex race, but are pitted against one another as eternal nemesis on a collision course to a final climactic encounter where only one can emerge the victor. I love that. Guys, it really doesn't make sense to have every added lore to the Vortex campaign fight over the Vortex. Not everyone in the world can care about the Vortex, nor do they have the means to save it or destroy it. I love the interpersonal rivalries between certain characters. It makes the game feel way more flavorful to me. And this is the most Mad Max scene I've ever seen. I love this so much. That's exactly what they were going for. You know it was. Love the new one too, man. The last Mad Max movie they made was insane. Long has Eltharion the Warden of Tor Yvresse stood sentinel, ever watchful for signs of greenskin incursion. While he campaigned overseas against the Druchii of Nagaron in ages past, Tor Yvresse nearly fell as the green tsunami of Grom the Paunch's legendary Waaagh roared through Ulthuan. After defeating Grom and scattering his hordes, Eltharion swore that no orc or goblin filth would ever set foot in his lands again. But Grom has other designs. His cavernous belly aches for a rematch, and his hunger for vengeance is matched only by his titanic appetite. As his gobos tend to the bubbling cauldron, delighting him with each tasty new morsel, his plans begin to set. He'll gather them all, the bosses and the boys, wind them up to a fever pitch, and lead them on a Waaagh, the likes of which the world has never seen. This time, Tor Yvresse will fall, and its snooty warden will kneel before the mighty Paunch. Alright, so this is obviously why I could never in my life remember the name of this place. Athel Tamara was that castle we see at the beginning of the trailer, where a lot of the unique mechanics of Eltharion, his entire campaign will take place. And I'm curious to see how well you'll be able to defend this. And from what I've read already, it seems like it's going to be super integral. So let's get into it. In a secluded Yvresse mountainside lies Athel Tamara, Eltharion's base of operations. It lies in ruins, untouched since Grom's previous Waaagh, but Eltharion seeks to rebuild it in Tor Yvresse's defense. In Eltharion's campaign, Athel Tamara is represented by a new panel where the player rebuilds structures to gain numerous unique benefits. In addition, he can use his unique Warden's Cage ability against enemy heroes and lords in battle. Should they fall while under its influence, they will be imprisoned in Athel Tamara for interrogation. Yeah, that's a pretty cool mechanic. So whether or not that allows you to permanently execute certain lords remains to be seen. I can imagine you can do it against generic lords, but you won't be able to permanently execute legendary lords. That seems a bit imbalanced, perhaps. But it will give you benefits to your faction based on what you decide to do. It has a number of structures across 2 unique chains which can be rebuilt. Each enhances Tor Yvresse's defense rating and grants the following. The Silent Sentinels chain can increase its defense rating and enable the recruitment and upgrading of elite Mistwalker units, plus increasing recruitment capacities for several unique elite unit types available to Eltharion. The Watchers of Yvresse chain enable the interrogation of captured heroes and lords, improvements to the Mist of Yvresse, and bonus to Eltharion's influence. So the Mist of Yvresse we'll get into in a second. Through the questioning, vanquishing, and indoctrination of captives, he can gain useful information and other benefits. Alright, so the Mist of Yvresse, very similar as I've read it to like what the Tomb Kings do when they put like a sandstorm over their lands. The Mist will become progressively, or it will shroud Tor Yvresse more progressively by an enchanted mist, enhancing all of Eltharion's troops and disrupting enemies caught within it. Provides the unique army ability Envelop in Mists, which enhances your troops' performance while fighting within its influence. And Athel Tamara upgrades grant additional effects as the mist becomes stronger, and increasing the strength of the mist will eventually cause it to cover all of Ulthuan as a protective aid. That's amazing, but I mean, did Ulthuan really need even more defensibility? That's the real question. But that's a cool effect though. And it's awesome that something you do in your faction can affect all of your allied factions. That is something that I like a lot. The defense of Yvresse. Eltharion will gradually build up defensive power at Tor Yvresse as Eltharion's homeland becomes increasingly fortified against invasion. At the campaign outset, the city of Tor Yvresse will begin in a damaged state until upgrades are completed, progressing the city into rebuilt, then fortified states. This is reflected in any battles fought over Tor Yvresse, affording increasingly stronger defensive abilities and options for Eltharion. Hopefully the AI actually challenge you for it, otherwise all that cool defensive stuff just goes to waste. The defense level also expands the Mists of Yvresse to cover further regions of Ulthuan, enhancing Eltharion's forces and weakening interlopers. I mean, if it causes attrition, that's incredibly strong. If it applies a debuff to your enemy while also buffing you, once again, incredibly strong. We get a new right, the Invocation of Ladriel. For Eltharion, the Invocation of Isha is replaced by the Invocation of Ladriel, which empowers the Mist. Okay. So new units and characters, another thing I couldn't sadly remember while I was going through the trailer, because for me, I didn't ever get a chance to play on the tabletop. I don't know how much lore is behind some of these these like elven units. Like I know the war lines of Krace, I know the Arcane Phoenix, but there's a lot of stuff here, just these cool ROR units that they ripped from the lore or fabricated themselves. And until it's one of those things, until we see the models and we get to play with them, it's going to be hard to remember their names. So, all right, first and foremost, Eltharion, the legendary lord, the Grim, an unflinching warden of Tor Yvresse atop his mighty griffin Stormwing. He swoops into battle with peerless conviction, and Stormwing looks pretty awesome. I love the color scheme. He wields a spear and a sword as well as being a caster of high magic. This offers him the flexibility to alter his role in battle based on the circumstances at hand. His defense-focused abilities also make him excellent at holding firm battle lines. I like that. They gave him some magic. High magic is definitely not the most OP of magics, but it definitely gives you battlefield control, which I think fits his lore. The High Elven Archmages are amongst the greatest practitioners of magic within the mortal realms. With the introduction of the Archmage, High Elf players now have access to all 8 core winds of magic, thank goodness, and the lore of high magic to choose from. Ideal for those who prefer a more magic-focused playstyle. Can't wait. And like I said before, I'm pretty sure they're all going to have dragons as mounts options, as they do in the lore. And also, there's an FLC lord, which I don't think they touch on in here, so I'm going to touch on it right now. Emmerich the Dragon Prince. And they even showed in the Twitch stream earlier, where he starts all the way to the east on these newly created islands called the Dragon Isles. And that's where he's going to start in his campaign, and he looks like he's going to be a pretty fun lord as well. I love it when the FLC lords are as interesting to play as the DLC lords. But he is like a dragon dude. And yeah, I expect the Archmages to be able to ride dragons as well. So Rangers. High Elf Rangers are inhabitants of Ulthuan's more remote areas and are called upon in times of need. So they might focus as super low tier archers, similar to the Empire's new archer editions, or they might be better than that, more like the Wood Elves archers. I have no idea. Hopefully they're good though. We have the Silverin Guard, heavy spear unit for High Elves. They are tasked with defending the Watchstone of Tor Yvresse, a waystone of fabulous power. We get the War Lions of Krace. These fearsome beasts are deadly hunting cats with a muscular frame and a sharp, cunning mind. Almost as tall at the shoulders as an elven steed. A war lion is far stronger, able to break bones with each sweep of its claws and shatter even helmeted heads with a single chomp of its fanged maw. I would look for these to be very similar to the Norskin Ice Wolves. Without obviously the slowing effect, but maybe a little more combat effective. So that's how I would think of them as well. They may be bonus versus large. It could just be bonus versus infantry. Either one would honestly make sense to me. It just whatever needs filling in the High Elf roster, I think is how you play that. The Lion Chariot of Krace. Many of the Phoenix King's bodyguard ride to battle in lion chariots. Each of these white timbered constructions is drawn by a pair of snarling war lions whose savage power is belied by their feline grace and elegantly plated manes. I expect these dudes to function much like the Gorbeast chariots of Chaos. Just really high mass. You could probably leave them in for a little while longer than your standard kind of easily destroy chariot, and then you got to pull them out. They won't be the fastest chariots, but I expect them to have massive charge bonus compared to even standard chariots and a lot of mass. That's what I would expect. And it'd be decent if you accidentally leave them in the combat, as opposed to just like a horse-drawn chariot. Then we get to the Arcane Phoenix, is a majestic and fearsome creature with a wingspan as great as any of the mighty war eagles of the High Elves. Cloaked in blazing feathers that can turn the sharpest arrow, it is the living embodiment of the destructive and purging wind of Akshi. So, I didn't notice it was that much bigger. Maybe it's a bigger model than your standard Phoenix. It looked brilliant. I love the colors that they used. And it can turn the sharpest arrow. Maybe it has incredible range resistance. I could see that. Just above and beyond, just so it just really can't be sniped. You gotta either fight it in the air or on the ground. Otherwise, you're just not killing this thing. I wonder what other abilities it's gonna have. Campaign exclusive units. Eltharion's Mistwalkers. Okay, so these are his special guys only for the campaign. The Skyhawks. Swift and energetic, the Skyhawks never weary of battle, always standing ready to fight to the death if necessary. Those are the guys I think we saw in the picture kind of behind Eltharion. up in the sky. We have the Sentinels of Astaril, former training partners to the Warden himself in his youth. The Sentinels are amongst his most trusted servicemen. Very curious. I want to see the models. Spire Guard of Tor Yvresse, the Honor Guards of the Warden's Tower are Tor Yvresse's foremost defenders, and the anchor around which its armies gather. Maybe these dudes are more like your Lore Masters. These might be similar in models to your Phoenix Guard. Not sure. The Athotemera Faith Bearers. Once of the household of Eltharion's late father, the Faith Bearers' guilt over the Master's death drives them to fight to reclaim their honor. We have the Knights of Tor Gothel, or Gaval, I don't know. Thanks to the challenges of training in their murky homeland, the Knights of Tor Gothel are rightly said to be amongst the most talented of wingmen in all Ulthuan. Or maybe these are the guys up in the air. I think they're both up in the air. Maybe the Skyhawks are literally just hawks, like a pack of eagles, and the Knights of Tor Gothel are the ones that are up in the air. I think so. But even cooler than that are the actual new regiments of renown that we get to keep in every campaign and use in multiplayer. The Talons of Tor Khaleda, the Archers in light armor. They are an elite unit for archers who serve the Prince of Kalimdor. We'll have to see what their actual special ability is. I doubt they're just an upgraded version of archers. They're going to have some good ability. And then we have Rahagra's Pride. They inherit their name from the fabled father of white lions. So these are the war lions. So it's just a pack of lions. Maybe they'll be gigantic. That would be sweet. Maybe they're an anti-large variant, and the standard perhaps are anti-infantry. So giving them kind of another, like I said, a little niche to play. The only mobile anti-large that I can think of are, I mean, even the Dragon Princes aren't. They're anti-infantry. Just their, the Fireborn are your anti-large mobile. So maybe that's what the purpose is that they serve. And lastly, the Omen of Asourian, the Arcane Phoenix Regiment of Renown. They are the companions of Asourian the Creator, harbingers of woe and bearers of hope in equal measure. They are drawn from Asourian's side when the winds of magic howl through the world of mortals in mighty storms, and in distant mist-shrouded Ulthuan. The High Elves are forewarned of the coming of these magical tempests by the sudden manifestation of arcane phoenixes in the skies above their island home. They are a mixed omen, a symbol of destruction soon to come, as well as the hope of rebirth. Very cool. None of this tells me what they do, or what this does, different from any other Arcane Phoenix. But I have to imagine if it's that high tier of a unit, and then they give it a Regiment of Renown version, it's got to be insanely good. Similar to like in the Greenskins, they have their Ragnarok spiders, who are like their uber tier monster killer, monstrous units. And then they have the Ragnarok Queen, which is straight up summons spider units. It's just a huge step above. I can't wait to see what these regiments of renown do. So let me take a sip of water real quick before my throat starts to crack like a prepubescent child. All right. Grom's Cauldron, unique mechanics and features. I actually haven't read this yet. Grom has an insatiable appetite, as his girth attests to. In a Grom campaign, you'll find a variety of ingredients around the world with which to cook up a range of recipes. By combining different ingredients in Grom's Cauldron, Grom and his boys will be able to feast and gain special powers. I've read this in Wurzag's voice. I'm not going to do it, but if you ever play this campaign, you know exactly the voice I'm talking about. Unlock a wide range of different ingredients from campaign exploration, and by meeting the Troll Hag Food Merchant. What? So she is the troll hero unit. The Troll Hag Food Merchant. How do you meet? Interesting. Combine ingredients to form dishes, each of which provides unique buffs to Grom and his army. Some dishes can add special units to his army. I didn't know that. Cooking up and sampling a certain number of dishes will permanently enhance Grom himself. Wow, so they're really incentivizing this cauldron mechanic. I wonder if you can get some of it through trade, perhaps? How else could you get it? Just by owning a territory that has a particular type of food assigned to it? And now we have Blacktooth, who is an important character in the lore next to Grom, who does some wild stuff in the lore too. So he might even have almost been more dangerous than Grom himself. During Grom's legendary Wa, his most trusted shaman, Old Blacktooth, nearly brought destruction to Ulthuan and beyond by felling the elven Waystones and drawing their power into himself. Fate intervened in the form of Eltharion, who separated Blacktooth's head neatly from his shoulders, but the shaman's surging power helped him to cheat true death, and his disembodied head serves his masters still. So he's dead. He's not a real unit. That's awesome. So while Niblet is Grom's chief advisor, that's the little guy who crawls all over him and rides on the chariot with him, Blacktooth will from time to time utter guidance to Grom, delivering tasks and molding the journey to his inevitable and decisive showdown with Eltharion. So he's kind of like a quest giver. His head will also take on the role of a special item in Grom's campaign. He may be assigned to a shaman, granting the ability to summon a rogue idol in battle. That sounds insane. Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep a goblin shaman in Grom's army just for such a thing. Very cool. Very loreful way to add a dead character back into the game for flavor purposes. He was super important in the lore to Grom's Wa, so it makes sense that he would be back in the game somehow. So new units and characters, of course, Grom the Paunch is a self-styled king of the goblins. He wields the mighty axe of Grom and rides into battle atop the sturdy chariot of Grom with his trusty night goblin assistant and standard bearer Niblet. So I know he gets regen. I think that's from the banner. He gets ward saves. I'm trying to remember all the stuff that I've seen and heard about. But we'll get more information on that soon, more concrete information on what the items do as people start releasing stuff that have early access. The presence of Grom near friendly troops inspires them with the leadership buff. If Grom makes his way into the fighting, that buff increases. So he'll make goblins more viable, that's for sure. And low-tier orcs who sometimes have a problem with leadership, he'll do a great job of keeping them in the fight. So Grom is always mounted atop the chariot. Makes sense. So he basically starts off at level 1 as a very powerful hero. Unlike someone who, let's say Azhag, who just becomes way scarier once he gets access to Skull Splitter, his wyvern mount. Grom is always going to be on this chariot. So at level 1, he's going to be a fierce lord to take on, and he's probably going to rack up just hundreds of kills in your initial battles. I can't wait. And it makes sense. He's so fat, I can't really see him running into battle. So the giant river hag troll has taken a place as a new hero unit, which I totally didn't see coming. I thought for sure we were going to get Savage and Black Orc Lords, which we might actually. If that little tiny snippet in the trailer is anything to be seen. I don't know if I've seen anyone else talking about that yet. After I'm done reading, I'm definitely getting back on Reddit to see if anyone else has seen anything that I haven't. But the troll hags are hateful and bitter creatures, far larger and more dangerous than their common kin. These lore of death, casters are invested with an innate ability to shape the winds of magic as they stir the brackish waters in which they dwell. That's great, because currently the only lore of death user in all of the Greenskins army is Azhag himself. And in his campaign, I don't know if they tweaked this, but it takes so long to get access to lore of death through his quest lines that you're basically just playing almost a weaker orc war boss until he's level 20. And it was super frustrating for the longest time. Snarling pump wagons. I think we all, if you know about the lore, you probably knew they were going to be added at some point. I didn't think we were going to get all these different variants of them. I think that's pretty interesting. The Snarling pump wagon is a wooden fighting platform on wheels. Like a chariot, a pump wagon hurtles toward the foe to run them over. However, the pump wagon rumbles under its own power, with momentum provided by Snotlings, who frantically pump crude contraptions and cranks to drive the belts that turn the wheels. So that's your standard variant. And then you've got flappas, or crude wings attached to the side of the pump wagon and flapped up and down by the actions of the crew. This allows the pump wagon to make short jumps as it bounces along. No idea how that's going to practically play out in a real battle. Maybe it gives them a jump mechanic like an activatable so you can jump over the front lines? Who knows? And then the pump wagons with spiky rollers. These pump wagons are fitted with a roller studded with sharp spikes. So maybe your AP version, perhaps? And then we'll get to the ones with the mushrooms on the front in a bit. So there's 4 versions of this one unit. That's insane. So now we get 2 different types of trolls. The river trolls. They somewhat resemble a riverbed, coated in settlement, slime, rotting vegetation, fish carcasses, and various other stinky detritus whose precise nature and origin are too horrible to contemplate. In all probability, the river troll's stink is even worse than that of the riverbed, since one can add the troll's personal miasma to the ill-omened melange of odors emitted from the mucky smears on its skin. Curious to see how trolls, these river trolls and stone trolls, are going to deviate from the trolls that we already have. Now, the Chaos has standard trolls, and they also have armored trolls. I mean, it makes sense, right? They're different. One's regular, one's armored. And then in the Norskin camp, you've got regular trolls and you have ice trolls. So now the orcs have their trolls, and their river trolls and stone trolls. Let's see what the difference is with stone trolls. So they're a distinct breed of trolls which live exclusively in caves and the mountain regions of the world. Since they live on rocky mountains, they tend to consume large quantities of stone, the natural magical inertia of which imbues them with a certain degree of magical resistance. Interesting. I wonder if they all have regen. I have to imagine that they do. And stone trolls, maybe they're the tier 3 in a sense. I just hope they make it easier to get access to trolls. I'm sure they've reworked the buildings and the tech trees. In fact, I know they've reworked the tech trees to give you access to different units earlier in your campaign, so you're not just spending the first 6 hours using goblins and basic orcs. Rogue idols. Rogue idols are mighty magical constructs with the ability to crush armor knights, batter city walls, and just about anything else that gets in their way with their brutal fists. I really can't wait to see their stat line. I'm very excited for this unit. The Ragnarok Queens were already anti-large, although they didn't look like it. They look like they're supposed to be there to blend infantry, but in reality, they have anti-large bonuses. Meanwhile, the giants are really your anti-infantry giant unit. And I'm guessing the Rogue Idols maybe a little bit less. I think the way they're describing them is able to crush armored knights. I would think they might have anti-large. They might be AP, so they'll have decent armor piercing. And they'll just be tanky. Tanky and expensive versions of giants. Instead of being meant to fight infantry, they'll be there to fight armor and large. And maybe they'll just be slow as well. Curious to see what other mechanics go along with them. And then let's get to the new regiments of renown. Loogie Boogie Spores Splodas. Alright. So that's the guys with the mushrooms. The most unhinged Snarlings attach really big exploding spores to the front of their wagons, which burst when the pump wagon hits anything. I'm wondering if they will actually die, similar to the bloated corpses of the Vampire Coast. That would be cool. Just a chariot unit, a super fast unit that you really can't stop from getting into your front lines, and they just hit your front line units and they just go boom and just make a big hole in the front lines that you can just swarm through. We've got the swamp, or maybe they're just poison. You know, who knows? Who knows how they're being implemented? The Swamp Things, they're river trolls, are a horrifying band of river trolls which cause terror and have poison attacks. I think we can glimpse them in the trailer and in the photos. There are some trolls that are swamp trolls or river trolls, and they just look different. They have a different color scheme. Some are kind of reddish, and some are not. We've got the Big Un. That's the Rogue Idol Regiment of Renown. It's the biggest, baddest, meanest, most cunning rogue idol ever conjured. And that's the one I think is visible in the trailer as well. So it says, keep an eye on our official website and social media channels for our first gameplay reveals for this DLC. Alright. We did it, guys. I read it all, and nothing bad happened. I love how all the trailers have a presentation that you can almost relate to a movie. This is clearly Mad Max. Let's see. The last one was like Jurassic Park. And I think the one before that might have been Predator. They're just nailing it. They're killing it with the trailers. Their trailer game is very reminiscent to me of like Blizzard in the heyday. So if we go into here and look at this, these trolls look different to me. These might be stone trolls. I'm looking at their clubs. That doesn't look like OG trolls. These might be the stone trolls. So they share a model more in common with the original trolls than with the new river trolls. The river trolls, you can see they have like fins on their back, and this might be the Regiment of Renown here. They have a more reddish purple color scheme. And then, like I said, we've got the rock idols. Let's just quickly go through this again. Now with all the new information we have, maybe we notice some different units. Maybe some different stuff stands out to us. We do definitely see the Snarling pumps. Any ones that have the flappas, they're obviously the flappas. This one has the shrooms, so there are the Regiment of Renown unit. We can see that. That's the little guy who helps Grom. Huh. The lions, these look like the standard white lions, from what I can tell. They don't look like perhaps the Regiment of Renown variant. The Archmage, we covered that. This Phoenix, we won't know until we see the standard Phoenix next to the Regiment of Renown version, which one is which. Same thing kind of with the idol. Chariots. These archers' color scheme is very weird to me, which is why I think they might be a Regiment of Renown. And yeah, these hawk guys in the back. This just looks like a regular eagle now that I look at it. I don't see a guy on its back. Man, the White Lion chariots are awesome. I'm so glad they decided to implement them in the game. I was sort of expecting Skycutter chariots as well. I'm sure some of you were as well. Maybe an awkward unit physics-wise to implement, but would have been cool. Skycutter is essentially a chariot in the sky with like dudes on the back shooting. Pretty sweet. So we've got the hag here. And the river trolls here. They got spikes coming out of their stomachs. These dudes look intense. And maybe these are standard spearmen, but it's hard to tell. Excuse me. The High Elves got so many units. It's kind of hard to know what's what. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed today's just in-depth read-in of all the stuff that's been posted. You're free to read it yourselves. Hopefully, I took the burden off of you somewhat in that regard. I love speculating. As more stuff gets released, I'm going to be making videos about that as well. Of whatever quality I'm able to, based on the amount of access that I do or don't have. I actually hit, it's kind of a milestone for me, my YouTube channel hit over 500 subs, and as soon as it did, I applied to CA to try and get access as a, I don't think it's quite a partner level, but the level where they just kind of allow me to get news and perhaps provide me with DLC content early so that I can make videos. Unfortunately, they never got back to me. That might be because they're super busy, might be due to some of the recent events around the world, coronavirus, of course, making it probably a lot harder to do certain jobs, and maybe I just got lost in the shuffle. I might go ahead and reapply. But anyway, guys, I was hoping to get early access before this DLC launched. That way I could, I don't know, make better videos that aren't just me reading from Steam pages, which I still enjoy doing with you guys. The way I look at these videos, it's like me and you are just hanging out and kind of, it brings me back to when I was, you know, a lot younger. And I just got excited about every little bit of like video game news, and I still love doing that. And it's cool to have friends to kind of geek out with over, you know, tiny details hidden in pictures. That's my favorite thing to do. So, without any further ado, y'all, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Look forward to any more information that we get. I'll try and bring it to you as soon as we get models for Emmerich, as soon as we get more, I mean, just more and more information. Once we get a little bit of a stockpile, I won't make a video for every little thing, but once there's enough new information out there, I'm going to go ahead and make more videos. So, I'm Brett. My channel is Goodtalk Gaming, and as always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Later, y'all.